Tips for moving to New York City alone. Are you dreaming about that fabulous New York City lifestyle? Then you're definitely not alone. But you may still need to move alone in pursuit of that dream. While dreaming and planning your relocation, here's what you need to know before moving to the city. Come along as we share top tips for moving to New York City alone. So the first thing to do before moving to New York City alone is to lighten your load. Take as little as you can and sell or donate as much as possible. Yes, it may seem comforting to have things from your current home, but trust us, you won't be so happy about it once you arrive in the city. Fewer things are frustrating and expensive as hauling your entire life across the country only to find out that your New York City apartment is so tiny that you can't even fit all of the shoes inside. Chances are you'll start from a smaller place until you settle and find a better one. So having many things will not do you a favor. Some places don't even have a closet, so you get an idea. If you're moving away from your parents' house, leave everything as it is and only bring a few suitcases with necessary things. You can then later ship your things if needed. The next thing you want to do is ditch your car and download one of the apps to be able to get a ride anytime. Just forget about driving in New York City. Besides being a pain, it's also incredibly expensive to own a car. And just imagine looking for a parking space. Yikes! Luckily, the world-famous New York City subway will take you anywhere between 5 boroughs, and you can always get an Uber or Lyft. A monthly subway pass is also pretty helpful, and it will save you money instead of buying a ticket every time. The best thing to do before even moving to New York is to sell your car, and that will help you have that extra cash on hand. It will definitely come in handy once you get used to prices here. Speaking of that, always have a bit of cash on you when living in New York City, because you never know when you might need it. Our tip number 3 has to do with networking. There are so many smart, successful, and inspiring people in the city, and you'll want to create connections as soon as possible. So go ahead and join networking groups. Get online and search for those groups on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google, or anywhere really, because there are so many of them. Also, reach out to people you know to get some connections because networking will help you so much when you're alone in New York City. Contact your college, your professors, friends, or family members because they're likely to know someone in the city. A friend of a friend may have the info about a job or be able to give you a few tips and guidelines about living in New York City alone. Ask some of your colleagues if they want to hang out. Networking is so important, but don't be shy to reach out. You should also use apps such as Meetup to help you find local events and people in your community who share your interests. By the way, don't forget that you'll need reliable movers to help you move to New York City alone, and Dumbo may be your best choice. We'll leave a link in the description box below so you can reach out via phone or email. We're based in Brooklyn and we take pride in our customer service and over decade-long experience with local and long-distance moves. Let's connect to chat about your exciting upcoming relocation. Now we're moving on to the next tip that will help you when moving to New York City alone, and that's to sublease at first. You'll need a place to stay immediately, so it's fine to go for a less-than-perfect scenario until you figure things out. After a while, once you explore the city and learn what neighborhood you like and can afford, you can go ahead and find a better apartment. You're likely to have a roommate at first, so it's worth getting used to that idea before you even take the leap and move to Big Apple. The first couple of months are usually a bit challenging because you may be changing jobs, networking, and finding your feet. So don't sign a lease that will oblige you to stay at a place you don't like. New York is unlike any other city, and it gives you so many different options, various neighborhoods and boroughs, and it may take you quite a long time to explore and figure things out. For all these reasons, signing a year lease is not your best option when you first move. Subleasing will let you move month after month and give you a chance to move quickly once you find a better deal or a nicer place. Keep in mind that New York City apartments move pretty quickly, so be ready to act fast. Our tip number 5 to help you get around New York City alone is to learn your most important routes and install a city map on your phone. Ride the subway from your home to your job before you start working because, yes, it may seem obvious, but trust us, the subway can be tricky until you get used to it. New York City is such a big city, and being able to navigate it is definitely helpful when you're alone. Of course, you can always ask for directions, but a map on your phone will just make it much easier to get around. And if you get lost or find yourself out late at night, you can always use that Uber or Lyft app you installed earlier. Our last tip has to do with delivery. Depending on where you're moving from, You may or may not be used to driving to a local market and buying all the groceries yourself, but things get a bit more complicated in New York City. Have your food and your water delivered to your home. Otherwise, you're in for quite a stressful journey. Carrying groceries and packs of water through the subway and through the city crowd is not something you want to do daily or even weekly, especially if there's no elevator in your building and you have to carry all the things up the stairs. Go save yourself the trouble and do what most New Yorkers do. Use apps such as Seamless, Postmates, Grubhub, and others to get food delivered to your address. Amazon is also one of the best ways to have your water delivered, so check that out as well to find the best deal and save some money and nerves. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully these 6 tips will help you figure things out when you first move to New York City alone. But don't forget that you don't have to do everything by yourself. A trustworthy mover can be a great idea when you're moving alone, especially to such a big city like New York City. At Dumbo Moving and Storage, you'll be able to get a personalized moving plan as well as a free moving quote, so give us a shout. Whether you're moving locally or long distance, we've got you. Also, don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more helpful moving topics. Thanks for watching and hope to see you in the next video.